Welcome back to this tutorial, and I hope you've been keeping up really well. What you need to do is we need to make sure that we have our previous file loaded up, and that will be the one that has our color changing background, our text, as well as our stars. So make sure you're at frame 0 and make sure when you're in this master layer that you have none of your layers selected by just clicking in this gray area here. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to animate and create a line that runs across our screen. So what we need to do is we come up here to our pen tool and let's come over to our stroke and let's select a nice color. So I'm going to select this one here. This looks quite nice and hit OK. And I'm going to adjust how thick I want. For now, let's just choose, say, 10. And now I'm going to grab my pen tool and I'm going to just click and draw all over my screen here. Now, before I hit my enter key, as you can see, it looks like a mess. But what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we have our selection tool active. We're going to open up our shape layer and go into contents, shape 1. And we're going to look at the word fill here, this layer here, and we're going to just press delete and delete it. And all we are left with now is our line. And so as you can see here, we can now adjust the thickness of our line if we want it really thick or if we want it a little thinner. So I'm going to go with, yep, I think about here is pretty good. I'm also going to come into our stroke. And under here, we want to look at line cap and we're going to change this to a rounded cap. We're also going to do the same thing for line join and change that to a rounded join. Then we're going to come into taper. And at the start length here, we're just going to bring this taper up so that the end of it, as you can see over here, is actually starting to taper in a little bit and become a bit pointed. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come up to add and we're going to select trim paths. We're then going to open our trim path panel and starting at frame 0, we're going to go to end and start and click this clock here to add a keyframe. Then we're going to go all the way to our 10 seconds. And again, we're going to select this one here to add a keyframe. But what we're going to do is we're going to come back to 0 and let's change this to 0 and hit OK. And now if we press spacebar, we will see that our line comes through very slowly over the course of 10 seconds, as you can see, like that. I'm not really happy because it's quite jagged. And what I can do now is come up to my pen tool and go to my convert vertex tool. And this is where I can come into each of my points here and I can just smooth these points out a little bit, make them a bit more rounder so they don't look as sharp. I can also use my arrow keys to adjust the area of its location. And once you feel like you are happy with what you've got, oops, that's the wrong way around, like this here. Yep. Then you can come back to your selection tool. And what we're going to do now is we're going to come in to say about 2 seconds here. And we're going to set a keyframe on start under trim paths 1. And we're going to start again at 0%, but we're going to come all the way here to 10 seconds and we're going to change this one to 100%. And if we come back to start and spacebar again, we will see that our line has now shortened and it's become a little line that is running across our screen. And you can play around, have a lot of fun with this. You can change your color. You can make it a lot longer, you can make it a lot shorter. If you come down into your strokes, like your taper, you can taper the edge a bit more, or you can make it wave a little bit more. So we can give it, say, an amount of wave. Let's have a look at 27 seconds. What does it do with that wave? As you can see, it's kind of distorted this here. Let's And now, as we can see, it's distorted it just that little bit more. It looks really good. Have a play around with it, have some fun with it, see what you create, and I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial.